First contact and miscalculation. The Zarthak Collective had roamed the galaxy for millennia, cataloging and studying countless species across the cosmos. Their advanced technology and insatiable curiosity had driven them to explore the farthest reaches of space. Yet nothing could have prepared them for their encounter with the inhabitants of the small blue planet in the Orion arm of the Milky Way. Commander Xelthar stood on the bridge of the Zarthak mothership, his 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display of Earth. The planet's swirling clouds and vast oceans captivated him, but it was the readings from the surface that truly piqued his interest. Scientist Vixara, report on the dominant species, Xelthar ordered, his mandibles clicking with anticipation. Vixara, a slender Zarthak with iridescent scales, stepped forward. Commander, the planet is inhabited by a species called humans. They are carbon-based life forms with a relatively short lifespan compared to our own. However, our initial scans reveal some anomalies. Xelthar's antenna twitched. Elaborate. Well, sir, these humans seem to possess an extraordinary ability to survive in conditions that would be lethal to most species we've encountered. They inhabit regions with extreme temperature variations, from scorching deserts to frozen tundras. They've even established settlements in areas with high levels of radiation and toxic pollutants. The commander's exoskeleton rippled with interest. Fascinating. How do they manage this? Vixara hesitated. We're not entirely sure, sir. Their physiology doesn't seem particularly remarkable at first glance. They lack natural armor, have no significant regenerative abilities, and their sensory organs are quite limited compared to our own. Yet, they persist and thrive in environments that should, by all accounts, be uninhabitable to them. Xelthar pondered this information. The Zarthak Collective had encountered countless species in their travels, but few had sparked such intrigue. Recommendation: Scientist Vixara. I believe a more thorough study is warranted, Commander. If we could understand the source of their resilience, it could revolutionize our own biological enhancement programs. The commander nodded, his decision made. Agreed. Initiate covert observation protocols. I want a comprehensive analysis of human physiology, behavior, and societal structures. We'll select a small group for more intensive study. As the crew bustled to carry out their orders, Xelthar couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of a significant discovery. Little did he know that this decision would set in motion a chain of events that would challenge everything the Zarthak thought they knew about life in the universe. Over the next several Earth months, the Zarthak observed humanity from their cloaked vessels in orbit and hidden outposts on the planet's surface. They marveled at the humans' ability to recover from injuries that would have been fatal to most species, their capacity to adapt to new environments, and their seemingly boundless determination in the face of adversity. Vixara's team compiled report after report, each more astonishing than the last. They witnessed humans surviving plane crashes, emerging from collapsed buildings after days trapped without food or water, and even recovering from clinical death. The Zarthak scientists were both fascinated and perplexed by the human spirit's apparent refusal to yield to the natural order of life and death. As Xelthar reviewed the latest findings in his private chambers, he felt a mixture of excitement and unease. The humans' resilience was unlike anything the collective had encountered before. If harnessed, it could propel Zarthak civilization to new heights. However, a nagging doubt gnawed at the edges of his mind. What if this power couldn't be controlled? What if the humans were more than they appeared? Pushing aside his concerns, Xelthar made a decision that would alter the course of both human and Zarthak history. Prepare for the next phase, he commanded through the ship's communication system. It's time we conduct a more hands-on experiment. As the Zarthak mothership hummed with activity, preparing for their first direct interaction with humans, Xelthar gazed down at the blue planet below. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to unleash something beyond their comprehension. But the allure of unlocking the secrets of human resilience was too great to ignore. The experiment would proceed, and the galaxy would never be the same. The experiment begins. Under the cover of night, The Zarthak abduction teams descended upon Earth. Their targets, a diverse group of humans selected for their varied backgrounds and physical conditions. Among them were Sarah Chen, a seasoned mountain climber, Marcus Okafor, a deep-sea welder, Elena Petrova, a retired cosmonaut, and Jack Thompson, a trauma surgeon. The abductions were swift and silent, leaving no trace of the Zarthak's presence. Within hours, the human subjects were secured in specially designed containment units aboard the mothership, still unconscious from the effects of the alien sedatives. Commander Xelthar observed the sleeping humans through a series of monitors, his compound eyes reflecting the soft glow of the screens. "Begin the baseline assessments," he ordered. Scientist Vixera and her team sprang into action, subjecting the unconscious humans to a battery of non-invasive scans and tests. As the data poured in, Vixera's excitement grew. "Commander, preliminary results are extraordinary," she reported, her voice tinged with awe. "Their cellular structure is remarkably adaptable. It seems to respond to stress in ways we've never seen before." Xelthar chittered thoughtfully. "Elaborate on the specifics, scientist." Vixera pulled up a holographic display of human DNA. "Observe this sequence here," she said, highlighting a specific region. "When subjected to various stressors, it appears to activate dormant genetic pathways. It's as if their very essence is programmed to resist death." The commander's antennae twitched with interest. "Fascinating. How does this compare to other species we've studied?" "There's no comparison, sir," Vixera replied. "The closest analog we've seen is perhaps the tardigrade, but even that pales in comparison to the complexity and effectiveness of the human system." As they discussed the findings, the first of the human subjects began to stir. Sarah Chen, the mountain climber, was the first to fully regain consciousness. The Zarthak watched in fascination. As she quickly assessed her surroundings, her heart rate elevated but controlled. "Incredible," Vixera murmured. "Her stress response is already activating those pathways we observed. She should be in a state of panic, yet she appears to be adapting." Xelthar leaned in closer to the monitor. "Let's see how she handles direct interaction. Prepare for first contact protocols." The containment unit's opaque walls turned transparent, revealing the alien laboratory to Sarah's wide-eyed gaze. To the Zarthak's surprise, her first reaction was not fear, but intense curiosity. "Who are you?" Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the extraordinary circumstances. "Where am I?" Vixera's voice, translated through an advanced AI system, filled the chamber. "We are the Zarthak Collective. You are aboard our research vessel in orbit around your planet. We have brought you here to study your species' remarkable resilience." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Study? You mean experiment on us? You can't just abduct people for your research. It's unethical and illegal." Xelthar was taken aback by the human's boldness. Most species, when confronted with a technologically superior alien race, reacted with fear or reverence. This human showed neither. "Your concerns are noted," Xelthar responded, "but the potential benefits of our research far outweigh any temporary discomfort you may experience. Your species' ability to survive is unparalleled in our galactic survey. Understanding it could save countless lives across the universe." Sarah's expression hardened. "That's not your decision to make. We have rights, and you're violating them. Whatever you're planning, we won't cooperate." As if on cue, the other human subjects began to awaken, each reacting to their situation with a mix of shock, anger, and defiance that surprised the Zarthak observers. Xelthar turned to Vixera. "It seems our subjects are more spirited than anticipated. Proceed with caution, but begin the first round of tests. Let's see how their resilience holds up under controlled stress." Over the next several days, the Zarthak subjected their human captives to a series of increasingly demanding trials. They exposed them to extreme temperatures, altered gravitational conditions, and even simulated high radiation environments. To the aliens' amazement, The humans not only survived these tests, but seemed to grow stronger and more resistant with each challenge. Marcus Okafor, the deep-sea welder, demonstrated an uncanny ability to withstand extreme pressures that would have crushed most other life forms. Elena Petrova's body adapted to zero-gravity conditions with remarkable speed, her muscles and bones maintaining their integrity far longer than the Zarthak had predicted. Jack Thompson, the trauma surgeon, provided valuable insights into human medical knowledge, often correcting the Zarthak's misconceptions about human physiology. His ability to remain calm and analytical, even under duress, both impressed and unnerved his captors. As the experiments progressed, Vix-Era noticed an unexpected phenomenon. The humans, despite their initial hostility, began to work together, supporting each other through the trials and sharing knowledge to better understand and resist the Zarthak's tests. "Commander," Vix-Era reported, her tone concerned, "I believe we may have underestimated the humans' capacity for cooperation. They appear to be forming a cohesive unit, which is enhancing their individual performances." Zelfar observed the humans' interactions with growing unease. Could this pose a security risk? Vix-Era's scales shimmered with agitation. "Possibly, sir. Their combined intellect and adaptability might prove challenging to contain long-term." The commander's mandibles clicked in agitation. "Increased security protocols. We cannot allow them to jeopardize our mission. Prepare for more intensive testing. It's time we push the limits of their legendary resilience." As the Zarthak prepared for the next phase of their experiment, the human subjects huddled together in their shared containment unit, whispering plans and theories. Little did their alien captors know, the true test of resilience was yet to come, and it would not be the humans who were found wanting. Escalation and revelation. As the days turned into weeks, the Zarthak's experiments grew increasingly extreme. Commander Zelfar, driven by a mixture of scientific curiosity and growing unease, authorized tests that pushed the boundaries of ethical research. The human subjects were subjected to simulated environments that mimicked the harshest conditions found across the galaxy, from the crushing pressures of gas-giant atmospheres to the near-absolute zero temperatures of deep space. Sarah Chen, the mountain climber, found herself in a chamber that replicated the thin air and brutal cold of Earth's highest peaks. As the oxygen levels dropped and the temperature plummeted, the Zarthak scientists watched in amazement as her body adapted, her lung capacity seemingly expanding and her metabolism adjusting to conserve energy. "Incredible," Vix-Era murmured, her scales shimmering with excitement. "Her body is optimizing itself in real time. It's as if every cell is fighting to keep her alive." In another chamber, Marcus Okafor was submerged in a high-pressure tank filled with an oxygenated liquid denser than water. The pressure would have liquefied the internal organs of most species, yet Marcus remained conscious and alert, his body withstanding forces that defied the Zarthak's understanding of biology. Elena Petrova, the former cosmonaut, was subjected to rapidly alternating gravitational fields, her body experiencing forces ranging from 0 g to several times Earth's normal gravity in a matter of seconds. Despite the extreme stress on her cardiovascular system, she not only survived, but seemed to grow more resilient with each cycle. Jack Thompson, the trauma surgeon, faced perhaps the most unsettling test of all. The Zarthak, curious about human healing capabilities, subjected him to a series of controlled injuries. To their astonishment, Jack's body demonstrated remarkable regenerative abilities, healing at rates that seemed to accelerate with each new wound. As the experiments progressed, Commander Zelfar found himself both in awe of human resilience and increasingly troubled by their subjects' responses. The humans were not merely surviving. They were adapting, learning, and in some cases, even seeming to thrive under the extreme conditions. Scientist Vix-Era, Zelfar chittered nervously. "I'm concerned about the rate at which the subjects are acclimating to our tests. Are we certain our containment protocols are sufficient?" Vix-Era's antennae twitched with agitation. "Commander, I share your concerns. Their rate of adaptation is unprecedented. It's as if the very act of trying to find their limits is pushing them to evolve beyond those limits. As if to underscore their concerns, an alarm blared through the laboratory. On the monitors, they watched as Sarah Chen, who had been returned to the main containment unit, began to coach the others through breathing exercises she had developed during her cold chamber test. "Look," Sarah exclaimed. "They're sharing their adaptations, teaching each other to withstand conditions they haven't even experienced yet." Zelfar's compound eyes widened in alarm. "This is unacceptable. We must isolate them immediately. Prepare the individual containment units." But as the Zarthak scrambled to separate their subjects, something unexpected happened. The humans, sensing the aliens' growing fear, decided to seize the moment. Sarah, her voice steady and authoritative, addressed the empty air of their chamber. "Listen to me, Zarthak. We've cooperated with your tests, endured your experiments. But this ends now. You've pushed us to our limits, and in doing so, you've made us stronger than you could have imagined." Marcus stepped forward, his powerful frame seeming to radiate an aura of indomitable strength. "We're not just surviving your tests, we're mastering them. Whatever you throw at us, we adapt. Whatever you take from us, we regrow. You can't break us, because humans don't know how to stay broken." Elena, her eyes sharp with the wisdom of one who had touched the stars, added, "You sought to understand our resilience, but you've only scratched the surface. Our true strength lies not in our individual abilities, but in our capacity to work together, to lift each other up in the face of adversity." Jack, his hands steady despite the numerous healing wounds on his body, concluded their impromptu speech. "We're giving you one. Escalation and revelation." Jack, his hands steady despite the numerous healing wounds on his body, concluded their impromptu speech. "We're giving you one chance to end this peacefully. Release us, return us to Earth, and we'll consider this a first contact scenario gone wrong. Continue to hold us against our will, and you'll learn firsthand why humans are known for our tenacity." The Zarthak laboratory fell silent, the alien scientists frozen in a mixture of awe and terror. Commander Zelfar's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of deep agitation. This is unprecedented," he chittered to Sarah. "No species has ever shown such rapid adaptation, let alone issued ultimatums while still in captivity." Sarah's scales had lost their usual luster, her voice trembling slightly as she responded. "Commander, I believe we may have gravely miscalculated. These humans, they're not just subjects. They're becoming something more with each test we administer." Zelfar's compound eyes narrowed as he made a fateful decision. "Escalate the tests. Push them beyond anything we've attempted before. We must understand the full extent of their capabilities before we can decide our next move." The human subjects, unaware of the Zarthak's internal debate, braced themselves as the environment in their containment unit began to shift once more. This time, however, the changes were far more extreme than anything they had experienced before. The air pressure in the chamber began to fluctuate wildly, alternating between the crushing depths of an ocean trench and the near vacuum of high altitude. Simultaneously, the temperature swung from searing heat to bitter cold in a matter of seconds. Bursts of radiation pulsed through the room, while the gravity shifted unpredictably. To the Zarthak's amazement and growing horror, the humans not only endured these impossible conditions, but seemed to be adapting in real time. Sarah's body appeared to modulate its oxygen consumption, allowing her to breathe normally, despite the pressure changes. Marcus's skin thickened and became more flexible, resisting both the extreme temperatures and radiation. Elena, drawing on her cosmonaut training, helped the others adjust to the gravitational shifts, teaching them techniques to maintain balance and prevent nausea. Jack, meanwhile, focused on monitoring everyone's physical condition, his medical knowledge proving invaluable as he guided the group through the physiological chaos. As the hours wore on, the Zarthak scientists watched in disbelief as the humans not only survived, but began to thrive under conditions that should have been lethal many times over. More disturbing still, They observed subtle but unmistakable changes in the human's physiology. "Commander," Vic's Era reported, her voice hushed with a mixture of scientific awe and growing dread. "You need to see this. Their DNA, it's changing, adapting. It's as if their entire genetic structure is rewriting itself to overcome each new challenge we present." Zelthar leaned in close to the holographic display, his antennae twitching nervously. "Impossible. No species can alter its own genetic code so rapidly." "No species we've encountered before," Vic's Era corrected. "But these humans, they're defying everything we thought we knew about biology. It's as if their very essence refuses to accept the concept of limitations." Inside the chamber, the four humans huddled together, their bodies pressed close for warmth and support as they endured yet another wave of environmental extremes. Despite their exhaustion, there was a fire in their eyes that spoke of an unbreakable will. "We can't let them break us," Sarah murmured, her voice barely audible over the howling winds that had materialized in the chamber. "Every test they throw at us, we beat. Every limit they try to impose, we surpass." Marcus nodded, his massive frame shielding the others from a sudden burst of intense heat. They wanted to see how resilient humans could be. "Let's show them that we don't have limits. We have horizons, always expanding." Elena, her face lined with determination, added, "In space, we say that the only true failure is giving up. As long as we keep fighting, keep adapting, we haven't lost." Jack, his hands moving quickly as he checked the others for signs of injury, smiled grimly. "Our bodies are learning, evolving. Every cell is becoming a fortress. Whatever doesn't kill us isn't just making us stronger, it's making us something new." As if in response to their words, another alarm blared through the Zarthak laboratory. Vic's Era's eyes widened in shock as she interpreted the readings. "Commander, the subjects, their cellular structure is stabilizing. They're not just adapting to our tests, they're internalizing the changes, making them permanent." Zelthar's exoskeleton paled, a sign of extreme distress in his species. "Cease the experiments immediately. Initiate full quarantine protocols." But even as the Zarthak scrambled to contain what they now realized was a potentially existential threat, the humans inside the chamber shared a look of grim determination. They had endured, adapted, and overcome. Now, it was time to turn the tables on their captors. Sarah, her voice steady and filled with a newfound strength, addressed the empty air once more. "Zarthak, your tests are over. We've passed every challenge, survived every trial. You wanted to understand human resilience. You're about to experience it firsthand." With that declaration, the four humans stood as one, their bodies humming with energies and abilities that hadn't existed mere days before. The Zarthak's greatest scientific triumph was about to become their worst nightmare as they faced the full, unleashed potential of humanity's refusal to accept defeat. As alarms blared and the Zarthak ship descended into chaos, the stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The humans, forged in the crucible of alien experimentation, were ready to show the universe why their species had thrived in the face of every adversity their home planet had thrown at them. The Zarthak were about to learn a painful lesson. When you push humans to their limits, those limits shatter, and something extraordinary emerges from the breaking point. The tables turn. The Zarthak mothership shuddered as if in fear of its human cargo. Alarms blared through every corridor, and panicked alien scientists scrambled to contain what they now recognized as an unprecedented threat. In the heart of the vessel, the four human subjects stood united, their bodies thrumming with newfound power, and their minds linked by a shared purpose. Commander Zelthar's voice crackled over the ship's communication system, a note of desperation evident even through the alien timber. "Attention all crew. This is not a drill. Initiate full lockdown procedures. The test subjects must not be allowed to leave containment under any circumstances." But even as the words left his mandibles, Sarah Chen placed her hand against the transparent wall of their prison. To the horror of the observing Zarthak, The material, designed to withstand the vacuum of space, began to ripple and warp under her touch. Impossible, Vix-Era breathed, her scales pale with shock. That barrier is composed of hyper-compressed, quantum-locked particles. Nothing should be able to manipulate it at a molecular level. Yet Sarah, drawing on the extreme pressure resistance she had developed, was doing just that. Her fingertips sank into the once impenetrable material, as if it were no more substantial than thick fog. With a grunt of effort, she tore a hole in the wall large enough for a person to step through. "Come on," she called to the others, her voice steady despite the monumental feat she had just accomplished. "It's time we gave our hosts a proper introduction to humanity." Marcus was the first to follow, his massive frame now rippling with a musculature that seemed to defy the normal limitations of human physiology. As Zarthak security drones swarmed towards them, Marcus stepped forward, a grim smile on his face. The first drone to reach him fired a paralytic beam, only for the energy to wash over Marcus's skin with no more effect than a warm breeze. "My turn," he growled, and with a single fluid motion, he grabbed the drone and crushed it as if it were made of paper. The other drones backed away, their programming unable to compute the suddenly shifted balance of power. Alina and Jack emerged next, their movements perfectly synchronized, as if guided by some shared intuition. Alina's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and as she raised her hand, the artificial gravity in the corridor flickered and died. The Zarthak security forces, unprepared for sudden weightlessness, flailed helplessly in the air. Jack, meanwhile, focused on the ship itself. The medical knowledge that had once been confined to human anatomy now expanded to encompass the very systems of the alien vessel. He placed his palm against a nearby wall, and the ship's internal systems responded to his touch, as if he were interfacing directly with its central computer. "I've got control of life support and internal sensors," he announced, his voice calm despite the incredible implications of his words. "They can't track us, and I can shut down any section of the ship at will." The four humans shared a look of understanding. They had been pushed to the edge of what their species was capable of, and in response, they had evolved into something beyond anything the galaxy had seen before. As they made their way through the ship, the Zarthak crew fell back in terror. Those who attempted to stand against them quickly learned the futility of their efforts. Sarah's control over matter rendered their weapons useless, the beams dissipating harmlessly before they could reach their targets. Marcus's enhanced strength made short work of any physical barriers in their path. Alina's mastery over gravitational forces left entire squads of aliens floating helplessly, unable to mount any meaningful resistance. Meanwhile, Jack's unprecedented connection to the ship's systems gave them complete tactical advantage. Security protocols were bypassed, doors opened before them, and sealed behind them, and the entire vessel seemed to bend to their will. In the ship's command center, Commander Xelfar watched the security feeds with a mixture of awe and terror. "By the cosmic egg," he chittered, his exoskeleton pale with fear, "what have we created?" Vixara, her scientific curiosity warring with her survival instinct, could only shake her head in disbelief. "We sought to understand their resilience, to find the limits of their adaptation. But we never considered, what if humans don't have limits? What if their true power lies in their ability to continuously evolve, to become whatever they need to be to survive?" As if in answer to her question, the doors to the command center hissed open, revealing the four humans. They stood framed in the doorway, their forms seeming to shimmer with barely contained energy. The Zarthak crew backed away, pressing themselves against the far wall in a futile attempt to distance themselves from these evolved beings. Sarah stepped forward, her eyes scanning the alien technology with newfound understanding. "Commander Xelfar, I presume," she said, her voice carrying an authority that belied her former status as a captive. "I believe it's time we had a discussion about the future of human-Zarthak relations." Xelfar's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. What do you want from us?" he managed to ask, his usual commanding tone replaced by one of supplication. Marcus, his massive frame dominating the room, answered with a grim chuckle. "Want? You misunderstand, Commander. We're not here to make demands. We're here to make sure you understand the gravity of your mistake." Belina floated forward, the ship's artificial gravity having no hold on her. "You took us from our home, experimented on us against our will, and pushed us to what you thought were our limits. But humans don't have limits. We have potential. And you've just unleashed that potential on a scale never before seen in the galaxy." Jack, his hands dancing over the alien controls as if he'd been born to operate them, added, "We now understand your technology, your biology, your place in the galactic community. The question isn't what we want from you. It's what we're going to do with everything you've inadvertently given us." The implications of Jack's words hung heavy in the air. In their quest to understand human resilience, the Zarthak had not only failed to break their subjects, they had elevated them to a level that threatened the very balance of power in the galaxy. Sarah, sensing the fear radiating from the alien crew, softened her tone slightly. "But we're still human at our core. We don't seek dominion or revenge. What we want is understanding, cooperation, and a guarantee that no other species will ever be subjected to what we endured." She extended her hand toward Commander Xelfar, the same hand that had torn through supposedly impenetrable barriers just minutes before. "You wanted to learn about humanity. Let's start over, not as captors and test subjects, but as equals. Show us that your species can adapt too, not physically, but morally. Prove to us that the Zarthak can learn, can grow, can become better than what you were when you first decided to abduct us." Xelfar looked at the offered hand, then back at the faces of these transformed humans. In their eyes, he saw not just power, but wisdom, not just strength, but compassion. With a trembling limb, he reached out and grasped Sarah's hand. As human and Zarthak made contact, a new chapter in galactic history began to unfold. The humans had not just survived their ordeal, they had transcended it, emerging as beings capable of reshaping the very fabric of interstellar society. And as the news of their transformation spread across the cosmos, other species would soon learn a lesson the Zarthak had learned at great cost. Humans don't know how to die. They only know how to evolve, adapt, and thrive, no matter the odds stacked against them. A new galactic order. In the months that followed the confrontation aboard the Zarthak mothership, the ripples of that fateful encounter spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The story of 4 ordinary humans who had not only survived the most extreme conditions imaginable, but emerged transformed into beings of extraordinary capability, became the stuff of legend among spacefaring civilizations. Sarah Chen, Marcus Okafor, Alina Petrova, and Jack Thompson found themselves at the center of a cosmic storm. Their return to Earth was met with a mixture of awe, fear, and hope. Governments worldwide struggled to come to terms with the implications of their transformation, while scientists clamored for the opportunity to study them, under strictly ethical guidelines, of course. But the 4 had no intention of becoming lab rats once again. Instead, they took on the role of ambassadors, not just for humanity, but for a new way of thinking about life in the universe. We stand here today, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as proof of what life can achieve when pushed to its limits. Sarah addressed the United Nations General Assembly, her voice carrying an authority that silenced even the most skeptical delegates. The Zarthak sought to understand human resilience. In doing so, they unlocked potential not just in us 4, but in all of humanity. Marcus, his imposing figure now a symbol of human strength, added, "But our transformation is not an end. It's a beginning. A glimpse of what's possible when we refuse to accept limitations, when we meet every challenge with the determination to overcome." The implications of their words sent shockwaves through human society. If 4 ordinary individuals could evolve to such degrees under extreme conditions, what did that mean for the species as a whole? Research into human adaptability and resilience exploded, leading to breakthroughs in medicine, space exploration, and technology at an unprecedented pace. But the impact wasn't confined to Earth. Across the galaxy, the tale of the humans who refused to die sparked a revolution in thought among countless species. On the Zarthak homeworld, Commander Xelthar stood before the High Council, his exoskeleton still bearing the marks of his encounter with the transformed humans. "Esteemed counselors," he began, his voice heavy with the weight of his experiences, "we set out to study humanity. Instead, we have been taught a lesson that will reshape our understanding of life itself." The Zarthak, humbled by their encounter, became unexpected allies of humanity. Their advanced technology, combined with the insights gained from the human subjects, led to a new era of collaborative scientific discovery. Other species, hearing of humanity's potential, reacted in various ways. Some, like the warlike Krelax, saw humans as a threat to be contained. Others, like the philosophically inclined Aetheri, viewed humanity as the key to unlocking the next stage of cosmic evolution. Elena found herself mediating disputes between various alien factions, her ability to manipulate gravitational fields serving as a potent reminder of humanity's newfound power. "We did not ask for this transformation," she often said, "but we recognize the responsibility that comes with it. Our goal is not domination, but cooperation, to lift all sentient life to new heights." Jack's unprecedented connection to technology made him a key figure in advancing interstellar communication and travel. Under his guidance, humanity leaped forward centuries in technological development, closing the gap with even the most advanced alien civilizations. "The human body is a miracle of adaptation," he explained to a group of xenobiologists from a dozen different worlds. "But it's our minds, our creativity, our refusal to accept defeat. That's the real source of our strength, and that's something every species can cultivate." As years passed, the initial fear and awe inspired by the 4 transformed humans gave way to a new understanding of life's potential. The galaxy entered an era of unprecedented cooperation and scientific advancement. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion or hostility now worked together, inspired by humanity's example of overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. The power demonstrated by Sarah, Marcus, Elena, and Jack attracted the attention of less savory elements in the galaxy. There were those who sought to replicate the Zarthak's experiments, hoping to create their own super beings. Others saw humanity as a threat to the established order and plotted to halt Earth's rapid advancement. Yet each new challenge only served to prove the truth of what the Zarthak had inadvertently discovered. Humans don't know how to die. They only know how to adapt, to overcome, to transform adversity into opportunity. A decade after their transformation, the 4 gathered on a terraformed Mars, looking up at the stars that now seemed so much closer. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Sarah asked, her hand absently molding a piece of Martian rock as if it were clay. Marcus chuckled, the sound rumbling like distant thunder. "Honestly, I was just hoping to make it back to Earth in one piece. Now look at us, galactic diplomats, technological revolutionaries." Helena smiled, floating a few inches off the ground as was her habit now. "We've come so far, but I can't help feeling this is just the beginning. There's so much more out there, so much more we can become." Jack nodded, his eyes flickering with streams of data only he could see. The Zarthak thought they were pushing us to our limits. Instead, they showed us that we don't have limits, only horizons, always expanding. As they stood there, representatives of a humanity that had stared into the abyss of extinction and not only survived but thrived, a message came through on a channel that reached every corner of the galaxy. It was simple, but it carried the weight of a species that had proven its indomitable spirit. "To all sentient beings across the cosmos, we are humanity. We come not as conquerors, but as fellow travelers on the journey of existence. We have faced our trials, confronted our limits, and emerged stronger. Now we extend our hand in friendship and cooperation. Together, there is no challenge we cannot overcome, no mystery we cannot unravel. For we have learned the greatest truth of all life, in all its forms, doesn't know how to die. It only knows how to grow, to adapt, to become more than it was. Join us, and let us shape a universe where the only limit is our collective imagination. And across the vastness of space, on worlds beyond counting, beings of all forms and natures looked up at the stars and felt a stirring of hope. The age of humanity had begun, and with it, a new chapter in the history of life itself.